All right, folks, strap in for another wild ride through the asphalt jungle because it's time for your weekly dose of truth, sarcasm, and a sprinkle of wisdom from yours truly, the guy who ditched the corporate penthouse for the cab of a big rig. That's right. I went from senior vice president to mile slayer back in 2019, and I've been hauling with Cheeseman since November 2020. Unlike those YouTube hosts who switch carriers faster than you can say fuel surcharge, I've got the stability and the numbers to back up my game. So grab your energy drink, silence your radio, and let's dive into the pay, logs, and a little thing called reality. It's going to be sharper than a fresh set of tire chains. Before we get to the numbers, and trust me, they're looking pretty this week, let's tackle the elephant in the sleeper cab, the whole company driver versus lease operator saga. Every newbie rolls into this industry thinking company driving is the kiddie table. Just a pit stop on the way to the lease operator promised land. Be your own boss. Stack that cash. Live the trucking dream. Sounds like a Hollywood script, right? Except, for most, it's less rags to riches and more rags to regrets. That lease life, it's not just a different job, it's a whole different beast, and it'll chew you up if you're not ready. Picture this. You're the smoothest driver on the interstate, weaving through traffic like a pro, docking in spots tighter than your dispatcher's schedule. You're a legend behind the wheel, but running a business? That's a whole new ballgame. Leasing can mean anything from handling every detail yourself, dispatch, maintenance, taxes, you name it, to those lease with training wheels deals where the carrier holds your hand a bit. Either way, it's not just about driving. It's about surviving the numbers game when the freight market decides to play dirty. Remember the good old days? Freight rates were so high you could sneeze and make $1,000. Everyone was getting their CDL, probably even your grandma. Lease operators were swimming in cash, living the high life. Then the market tanked, and it wasn't about who could drive the fastest anymore. It was about who could outsmart the spreadsheet. Business skills, planning, negotiating, budgeting became the difference between thriving and watching your truck get repossessed while you're still polishing the chrome. Here's a little tea from my own playbook. Back in 2022, I got the itch to be my own boss. Thought I was ready for a different path. So I left Cheeseman for 6 months and tried lease operating at 2 different carriers. Both were the training wheels kind, not the deep end, but still a step up from company life. Did I make money? Sure, I wasn't starving. But happy? About as happy as a flat tire in a snowstorm. And the real kicker? I wasn't banking more than I am now, back with Cheeseman as a company driver. Sometimes the grass on the other side is over the septic tank. Now, the numbers you've been waiting for. This week, I added 2 more states to my map, Connecticut and Massachusetts. Let's roll into the data. First, we'll talk about my logs for the week. I was paid for 2,212 dispatched miles. I had 2,772 logged miles. The days in green, I was on home time. Let's look at my unedited pay statement for period 37 of 2025. This includes all trips from August 31st to September 6th. Securement paid $104. Hazmat miles paid $39. The holiday paid $150. Loaded miles paid $1,408. And stops paid $273. Total earnings for this week was $1,975. 37 weeks into the year, my gross income is $83,392, and my total miles is 105,613. That averages out to $2,254 per week and 2,854 miles. Estimated out over 52 weeks, my estimated annual is $117,200. Year-to-date numbers as of week 37 of 2025. I've been paid for 105,613 miles, covering 34 states, making 255 stops. 94% of those miles have been loaded, averaging 79 cents per mile. Here's the home time that I've taken this payroll year through the end of the 37th week. I have been on home time 20 times so far, totaling 56.1 days. I also have 5 overnight breaks at the house and 17 paid 34-hour resets on the road. I am not paid hourly, but let's calculate like an hourly job. For the week, my gross pay was $1,975 for 59 hours of work. If we break it down into a typical hourly job, it could be 40 regular hours and 19 hours of overtime, resulting in an effective pay rate of $28.64 per hour. For the year, my gross pay so far is $83,000. $392 for 2,000, 147 hours of work. If we break it down into a typical hourly job, it could be 1,449 regular hours and 698 hours of overtime, resulting in an effective pay rate of $33.41 per hour. Taking a look at the if only truck drivers were paid for every hour in the truck calculation page, 37 weeks have gone by so far that total 6,216 hours. I have been at home 1,347 of those hours. That works out to 4,869 hours from the pre-trip leaving home to the post-trip returning home. My compensation through week 37 is $83,392. That works out to $1,713 per hour away from home. Before you go all in on that lease operator dream, take a hard look in the mirror and ask yourself what you don't know. Because trust me, the list is longer than a cross-country haul. Driving the truck? That's the easy part, the fun part. The real grind is the planning, knowing your costs, your risks, and your limits before you sign on the dotted line. Jump in blind and you're not a business owner. You're a gambler with a CDL. So do your homework, talk to the pros, and plan like your livelihood depends on it, because it does. As always, make sure you're enjoying every day at work.